Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in our top right-hand side forsakeNXE from NoN Esports. He is our red Terran. In the bottom left, our blue Terran is Abbadon. He is a diamond level Terran. Forsaken's also a diamond level Terran. On the EU server, we are on Expedition Lost LE. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Abbadon. Evidently, he is a hero from Dota, as well as an angel from the Bible, having something to do with locusts. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember much. But I always thought that the name was wicked awesome. I love the angels having actual names like Michael and stuff like that. That's so cool. That's so cool. You know what else is cool is Expedition Lost, because it's such a cold map. Got all sorts of ice up in this junk, this back door, causing a lot of problems to a bunch of people. I did a really cool thing lately. I went to MagFest, which is a huge video game convention in Maryland, on the east coast of the U.S., and I got to cast a bunch of games there. I got to do it live. I got to do it in front of people. I got to put it up on Twitch. It was fantastic. It was a hell of a lot of fun. I had a blast doing it, and I'm super excited about it. Yeah, and I mean, like, I had a great time. I had an absolutely great time. And, you know, I have like 3 minutes to kill because, actually, no, this is kind of unique. Abbadon is going gas first, and usually TVT is pretty stale and pretty standard, but we actually see a deviation between the two of them. Gas first before barracks for Abbadon, and we can see gasless right into the barracks for Forsaken. Tells me he's going to go for a bit more of an economic build, just getting out that barracks a little bit earlier. A couple defensive marines, no early reaper or anything like that. And in order to justify that, he is going to be scouting with his SCV, just going to be poking his head in, see exactly what's going on. Super early gas timing tells me early factory, maybe a 1-1-1 build, maybe something to do with Banshees, maybe just that traditional tank marine drop play kind of early on. We'll keep an eye out for Abbadon because his possibilities are significantly larger than Forsaken's. Forsaken, he's going to be, you know, he's going to be teching along the same tech path, but just a little bit slower because he's got a little bit more of an economic edge. In fact, he's kind of stunting that by getting his gas a little bit slower than Abbadon, but it's just going to delay his own expansion, and it's going to allow him to get out a little bit more tech to keep himself safe while he's doing that. Factory immediately thrown down well within range of Forsaken, but, you know, that's not him revealing tech. That's just him being like, hey, man, you came in, you saw that my refinery was already done before the first Marine was out, before the barracks was done. So you know that I'm going for a gas-heavy build, and whatever I'm doing is going to require some form of higher tech. So I'm going to get the factory anyway. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to do anything clever like wait for you to leave before I throw it down. This is Abbadon. You know, he's devoting a lot of pressure into his actual build order. He's got a lot of trust in his build order. He's like, I don't need to keep this clever. I don't need to be cute about it. I have a good build. I have a good build. CC on the low ground. That's something unique about Expedition Lost. This used to be very standard in the map pool, but Expedition Lost is really the only one in the current map pool that has a natural that's directly exposed to the rest of the map. Most naturals are currently like tucked away somewhere safe in the main base and on the same high ground, but there's actually high ground to low ground into the natural, and then high ground to low ground into the rest of the map. Reaper's coming in, met with staunch defense from 2 Marines, more than enough to actually push him back. Unfortunately, Expedition Lost really doesn't have a lot of cliffs for him to abuse, just these guys over here, maybe a back door over here into the ice, but overall not the best scouting you can do with a Reaper without, you know, some sort of distraction at the front door. We can see that 1-1-1 build has been constructed. I'd love to see a tech lab going down on something so that we can get a Banshee out there or just some sort of add-ons. It's weird to see no add-ons at all. Obviously, he's rushing out the medevac because he doesn't have those add-ons, so he is going to be going for a bit of a timing attack, and this medevac is really the center portion of that aggression. He's going to use that medevac very well, probably going to be dropping. This is really good supply depot placement for Forsaken because this is the main avenue that you're going to see that drop coming in. Unless you just squeeze to the right side, the medevac's not going to be able to actually squeeze through. Oh, did the Reaper die? I bet the Reaper died. The Reaper died. Oh, that's too bad. So the Reaper's dead. Not going to be a help out with this push. And sometimes you see, you know, handful of Reapers, handful of Hellions being able to do a lot of damage, but Abbadon swinging in here. The 2 Hellions from Forsaken is going to scout out the fact that not only is there a medevac on the field, but there's also a lot of ground forces. So Forsaken's going to know that he's in for a little bit of pressure. I don't think he's got a lot to worry about. I mean, there is just a handful of Hellions, handful of Marines out on the field right now, but I think Forsaken has a numerical superiority in every respect right now. And yeah, he is going to be pushing forward, is going to be pushing this back. Medevac doing a great job loading it up right whenever he had enough to actually, lift off in that. But all this is doing right now is buying time. Abbadon just wants to buy time until his cloak is done. He's got that tech lab on the starport, and this Medevac is just going to be frisky. He's just trying to stunt the economic advantage that Forsaken has right now. 27, 26 over 24 right now. It doesn't really tell you the whole story because there's 2 orbitals on the field for Forsaken, and there's not even another CC for Abbadon. So Abbadon's going to be, he needs to do damage with this. This is not an all-in, but he needs to do damage. He's invested too much for this to do absolutely nothing. He can't just walk away, which is why he's being so ballsy with this medevac. If he loses this medevac, that's terrible. The Viking is going to be showing up already in pretty low health. Will it survive? I don't know. Good reactions by Forsaken, trying to go for the drop just in front of the boosting medevac, but no, the Viking leaves. Viking leaves and the Banshee arrives just in the nick of time. Cloak's going to be finishing in just right now. And another medevac, or a Banshee rather, is going to be finishing up. So, Forsaken's having to deal with push after push, and at the same time a siege tank and a lot of Marines are on the low ground. So he's going to be split into 2 different directions. I'd leave the Vikings just to clean this Banshee. Oh no, he doesn't have enough energy to scan. That's too bad. That's really bad. He's going to be taking a lot more damage than you normally would expect because of this, but good reflexes, getting down that missile turret just in the nick of time. Going to be finishing up, going to be protecting those SCVs. Unfortunately, this leaves the front door completely wide open for Abbadon to push in here. A single siege tank on the low ground is going to get picked off immediately by those Marines, and now that the siege tank's up on the high ground for Abbadon, Forsaken's going to be in a world of hurt. Why isn't he reacting to this? He's still trying to deal with that Banshee, and the Banshee's still alive, so he hasn't been able to deal with anything just yet. Nice hot pickup from the medevac, picking up those SCVs, keeping them alive. But at the same time, Abbadon has his natural completely locked down, 58 over 71 for the supply count, and that Banshee, finally goes down. So Forsaken can finally focus on the aggressor in the middle of his base, but a single siege tank up on the high ground is not enough to deal with this just yet. Oh my goodness, the siege tank does go down. The 2 siege tanks on the low ground from Abbadon still alive, but now within sieging distance of the ramp. Not quite up on the high ground, so it's not the end of the world. And in fact, if you look at the minimap, there's nothing streaming across here. So as if Abbadon, if Forsaken could actually deal with this right here, these 2 siege tanks and these handful of Marines, then he could stunt this because there's no follow through at all. On the other side of things, the CC from Abbadon on the low ground is going to be finishing in just a couple of seconds. So Abbadon's already done the damage that he needs to do. Everything here is just expendable. He's already done all the economic damage that he was expecting to do. And so, he's perfectly happy to throw away these units. That's exactly what he's doing. All the Marines are dead. Siege tanks up or on the high ground. They're going to be doing a lot of damage just camping on top of the infrastructure. But these Vikings will land. Awesome. We'll land and actually take down these siege tanks in just a couple of seconds, and everything else is just going to be retreating. But Abbadon's going to love that. 27 over 36 for the harvester count. Definitely going to be feeling pretty good about that. Mission accomplished. Totally mission accomplished, and he's already swinging into the next stage of his attack. Stim on the way, +1. Probably another tech lab? No, 2 reactors. Huh. I would expect one of these to be a tech lab for the combat shields, but I guess he's not looking to be super aggressive. He knows he's got an economic advantage. Same time, Forsaken's just going to be continuing to push down here. I'm surprised that these guys didn't retreat. Maybe Abbadon just kind of forgot about them. Regardless, they're very cost-effective at taking down Marines. But yeah, this Banshee's going to have to be very, very careful. Only 6 HP. Will it survive? Ooh, no. Yeah, it goes down. Whatever. I mean, he's got a huge lead, 65 over 50 basically for the supply count, a 10 harvester lead. And yeah, this orbital was camping for a while, so it could throw down a hell of a lot of mules. But that doesn't win you the game. That doesn't get you back into the game. Let's talk about infrastructure. We've got 5 barracks here. How many do we have down here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But these guys all have add-ons. He's missing 2 reactors right here. So even though numerically Forsaken has superior barracks count, significantly superior barracks count, but the reactors there make them actually on par or at least a small advantage for Abbadon. And because of that advantage, Forsaken's going to be feeling like he needs to push out, and he needs to actually do some damage. Stim is done, I believe. Yes, combat shield's not quite done. 1-1, not even on the way for Forsaken. +1 ground weapon's going to be finishing in just a couple of seconds. Combat shield's a little behind for Abbadon, but the +1 ground armor also on the way. Abbadon's going to be pushing out at the same time Forsaken's trying to push in. He's going to need to pick off his units in the medevac. Both Vikings go down from a hailfire from the Marines, so that's unfortunate. That air superiority is desperately important, because not only does Forsaken know that the what are those called? Banshees were a threat. Obviously, we know that's not, because that tech lab's being used for the combat shields rather than the. Oh, and you know, good for you. Good for you, switching it over to the combat shields. No, but that was the one in charge of tech, in charge of the stim. So never mind. He didn't heed my advice at all. that tech lab was the one doing the cloaking field research for the Banshees. Small little drop over here, but Forsaken is right in the correct area for that, picking off the units as they drop down. Both medevacs go down immediately, as well as losing the siege tank. That is a significant loss. 3 Marines coming up from the low ground into the natural is going to get picked off in just a couple of seconds. There goes a reflexive stim, probably not 100% necessary, but regardless, very effective. 100/90 supply right now, but you know, the tech superiority that Abbadon's going to have in the next engagement is probably worth about 10 supply. So I do not feel like Abbadon is currently behind. I feel like he's done a good job of capitalizing on the advantage he had. You know, in fact, his 1-1 is going to be finishing. His combat shields is already done. Forsaken's is done also. Something that Forsaken's been doing, though, really well, is keeping his siege tanks alive. He's got 3 siege tanks right now just for the 2 that Abbadon has. Abbadon probably has another one in his base. Yeah, he does. So he's doing a good job of keeping his siege tanks alive, and that's what's super important. The Marines, incredibly expendable, but in these siege tanks versus siege tanks battles, the Marines are dime a dozen. Siege tanks are everything. Keep them alive. Get your Marines to die so that your siege tanks can live, and you win this game. Same thing goes for the medevacs. You need to keep them alive also. And so Forsaken's doing a good job of pulling back when he has to. And what that does is results in very cost-effective trading rather. Resources lost tab currently in the favor of Abbadon, but never mind that. It doesn't change my opinion. That initial push was incredibly devastating. Okay play here. Really nice to do the target fire down on top of the siege tank from Forsaken, but unfortunately the lacking of add-ons to these 2 barracks is really hurting him, because he's beginning to run low on those Marines. I know that I was saying that Marines are super expendable, and as long as he's keeping his siege tanks alive, he is making the correct decision, but eventually if he runs out of Marines, those siege tanks die in seconds. Oh my goodness, here's a big push from Abbadon. His guy's already stimmed. Awesome play by Forsaken to keep one of his siege tanks sieged on the high ground, actually being able to shoot down, do some massive damage to this ball of Marines as they were trying to rush in and pick off these siege tanks while they were unsieged. Great play. That was awesome, because if that had actually happened, this game would be over. If all 4 of those siege tanks had gone down, Forsaken would have been steamrolled by Abbadon, because he's got such a huge force of Marines. And guys, these are all 1-1 Marines against the 0-0. So, you know, that's significant. Something else is significant is the 2-2 that's on the way. I like the creeping forward of the siege tanks, but he's got to be careful. If he gets too far forward, if he gets too exposed, and these Marines manage to sneak out, they can do some massive damage to these siege tanks. So he's got to be super careful. He's investing a lot into the upgrades. He's got superior production of his siege tanks, producing them 2 at a time rather than 1 at a time, but Abbadon's not been doing a good job of keeping his units alive. And look at all this, just unnecessary death. He's not accomplishing anything by losing all these Marines, and he keeps pushing them forward, and he's whittled down a significant number of his Marines. He doesn't even have half of the Marines he used to have. Trying for a drop? No, just trying to scout out, see exactly what's going on. A little bit of pecking at the back door, but there's some Marines. Even a siege tank in range, that's gonna get shut down pretty quickly. But look at this contain. Holy crap! He's got like six siege tanks all within firing range of a single ramp. Anything that walks down that ramp is gonna die a very quick and painful death. This is a great. This is awesome, because look at the supply count, 134 to 133. Abbadon has a superior tech army. He's got almost 2-2 against 1-1, +1 ground armor just now being started, 0 for the weapons. And even with that, because Forsaken's done a better job of keeping his siege tanks alive, he's got this contain on a superior army. Unfortunately, 2 medevacs have managed to sneak out, are making their way into the natural, pushing up here. Is there anything to defend? It looks like a siege tank and Marines were caught off guard, probably expecting the drop. I mean, we did see the two medevacs were with them. Maybe he saw them just by one of the watchtowers or something like that. There goes the liftoff. Oh, the killing fields. All of the Marines killing them at the same time. Everything's pushing down. It looks like the siege tanks have scooted forward just far enough. And it looks like, oh, Forsaken is actually taking the engagement. He's pushing in so many Marines, though. Forsaken is rebuffed just for the moment of time. Looks like this was cleaned up. The siege tanks and Marines more than enough to actually deal with that initial push in. But a significant hit to the harvester count, 20 over 58 right now. Oh, the SCVs have been pulled. All these siege tanks well within range of this one ramp, and you can just see these Marines melt away, even though there's 2-2 right now. And that's what Abbadon was waiting for, was that 2-2 for him to actually try to break this contain. It was just not enough. Forsaken moving in with two fully loaded medevacs, throwing down his Marines two at a time, trying to take down these siege tanks. Unfortunately, that's not enough either. Wow, look at that supply count. Hot damn, 72 over 46 right now, and Forsaken's totally taking this game. I have no idea how he did it with just 0-0 against the 2-2 Marines. You can just see how quickly they get shredded, but it's the siege tanks, it's the artillery in the back of it. The superior positioning has allowed him to just continue to be aggressive, even though he is numerically totally outnumbered, totally outgunned on the Marine count. And finally, his production has gotten to the point where he can start to stream his Marines, in fact, stemming the Marines, sending them over as fast as he possibly can so he can keep up the aggressive posturing. But with just 50 over 32, this is just totally neck and neck. Those harvesters, all of them just died in seconds, and unfortunately, without being able to break that contain, you know, even though he absolutely crippled Forsaken by doing that little push in here, he just, Abbadon's totally out of steam. I mean, he's totally broke. His economy's in shambles. Nothing's on the production tab. And the only guy left producing something is Forsaken. So as long as this game continues, he's won. And he knows it. He's going to be pulling back, maybe looking over at the back door just to see if he can poke through. There's no reason to stay here and camping the front door anymore, because he's definitely done a hell of a lot of economic damage. And these siege tanks have to be very, very careful. Good target firing from Abbadon, but this time the siege tanks actually outnumbered him, and the Marines are finally up on the high ground. Doesn't matter what your upgrades are, as long as you're supported by siege tanks, I guess. 29 over 56. I'm really surprised that Abbadon hasn't dropped out. I guess he's got a lot of extra energy for mules, so that's really helping his mineral income. As long as he can continue to produce Marines, maybe he can get back into this. But with 3 siege tanks on the low ground, any time that Abbadon tries to move his siege tanks down here, they're going to get picked off. And with one of the siege tanks now camping the mineral line and his main completely mined out, there's really not a lot that Abbadon can do to stay in this game. Maybe lift off and land over to the north side of the ice debris. Maybe that would be a cute play, get a couple of minerals there, definitely keep him in the game for a little bit longer. But Forsaken now has twice the supply of Abbadon, so oh man, this is brutal, because Abbadon had such a nice advantage early on. He did so much damage with just on multiple fronts. He did a good drop. It was okay damage, not a lot of damage, but it opened the door for his Banshee to come in, and then that Banshee did just a lot of damage. And then he did that secondary push to the front door, really just crushing Forsaken's economy. And then Forsaken just played defensively, really was nice and clever with his positioning of his siege tanks, and keeping those siege tanks alive is paramount. It's just like creep for the Zerg. If you do not have good creep spread, it really doesn't matter what style you're playing with. You're not going to be able to get a good engagement, and the superior position of the siege tanks really allowed Forsaken to excel. I would never expect the 0-0 against 2-2 actually coming out in the favor of Forsaken, even with superior siege tank skills, but that is exactly what happened. That was awesome. That was great. You know what else is great? People to watch my videos. So if you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary.